Over the past 25 years, Salesforce has had a meteoric rise in the world of enterprise technology. They are one of the most successful modern startup stories, having been founded in 1999 in a one-bedroom flat, and now run most of the enterprise business world on their suite of tools. The Salesforce job market has also seen a meteoric rise in recent years, from being a relatively unknown career path to becoming one of the most talked about technology ecosystems. But is it a good entry-level career option in 2024? Let's take a look. The Salesforce job market, careers, and salaries have always been a big focus for us at Salesforce Ben, as we've been big proponents of a career in Salesforce. We've seen the rise and subsequent fall in demand for Salesforce professionals. So what exactly went on here? Salesforce careers almost became too good to be true. Although Salesforce was one of the fastest growing enterprise software companies around, no one had ever heard of it. Salesforce didn't have the household name that companies like Microsoft and AWS did. So you had a company like Salesforce growing at the speed of light, its ecosystem expanding, a huge amount of demand for professionals with Salesforce skills, but a huge lack of talent in the ecosystem. Fast forward to 2021-2022 after the post-pandemic digital transformation boom, and it kicked this cycle into overdrive. Companies would pay any amount of money they could for a Salesforce professional. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to implement or use the software. Although Salesforce started Trailhead way back in 2014 to support the ecosystem with training new talent, it was around about 2020-2021 when Salesforce careers started becoming mainstream. Because there was such a desperate need for talent, if you had a Salesforce certification and knew a bit about the platform, there was a highly likely chance you could land a full-time role. Many Salesforce bootcamps started advertising the fact you could earn a highly paid tech job with next to no experience, citing some of the success stories as examples of how you could do the same. Fast forward to the last 2 years, and the world of technology has changed dramatically. Rising interest rates, war, slowing growth, and mass layoffs have created an uncertain tech job market. For Salesforce, this is the first time in its 25-year history that something like this has happened. So with this in mind, should you try and land a Salesforce entry-level job in 2024? This is a difficult question to answer, and it's a question where you'll get multiple different answers depending on who you ask. Ask any Salesforce bootcamp provider who's trying to charge you $3,000, and the answer will be, of course, anyone can land a Salesforce job with our guidance. Ask anyone who is currently trying to land an entry-level Salesforce position, and the answer will most likely be a lot more downbeat. Unfortunately, the state of the current Salesforce job market is probably the worst it has ever been. Even for more experienced Salesforce professionals, the market is tough. There is more competition for jobs due to layoffs, and less hiring going on due to growth slowing down. It's not all doom and gloom though. The Salesforce world is an extremely robust technology ecosystem, with way over 150,000 companies using the product that need internal support, and thousands of consultancies and product companies who support Salesforce. Unfortunately, the situation of the current Salesforce job market simply comes down to supply and demand. That is one of the reasons that Salesforce salaries are currently trending down, although they still remain very high compared to average salaries. Whether Salesforce is worth exploring in 2024 for an entry-level professional can depend on a few factors. If you have been attempting to land a job in Salesforce for a number of months or years already, there is a good chance that you have built up a lot of experience over that amount of time. You might have your admin certification and many Trailhead badges, as well as some potential volunteer experience. If you are already deep down the Salesforce rabbit hole and love the idea of landing a role in Salesforce, then you can carry on down this road. Keep applying for jobs, learn from experience, and hopefully land that elusive first job. It's not impossible, but it's very, very tough. Most people expect the Salesforce job market to bounce back at some point. Back when I started my career in 2014, it was extremely common for consultancies to hire graduate or intern level consultants who they would train up quickly and bill them out on projects as fast as they could. Although this doesn't happen much anymore, it's a great business model when you have a support system in place. Most things in an economy work in a cycle, and we are currently in a trough, looking forward to the peaks. If you are starting to look at potential technology careers, with Salesforce being one you are currently exploring, my advice may look a little bit different. You only have to do a bit of research on Reddit, LinkedIn, and other online communities to see how many people are trying to land entry-level Salesforce positions. If you start now, you'll most likely join the back of the line from those who technically have more experience than you. However, depending on your background, things might be a bit different. If you are from another technology ecosystem, have a computer science or information technology degree, you may have a big advantage over others. Although it's a contentious point of view, many companies in the ecosystem still require you to have a degree. This isn't something that I necessarily agree with, but you may be able to use it to your advantage. For those that have no background in technology and still want to land that elusive first role, it might be worth looking at other technology ecosystems to see what's available. Regardless of my opinion on this matter, Trailhead is still one of the best free training platforms around in the technology world. Although much of the content is of course centered around Salesforce, there is still a big portion of it which can be applied to any tech ecosystems. For example, modules on topics such as business process mapping and requirements gathering. Salesforce was a magic bullet back in the era of 2012 to 2022. Pretty much anyone could land the job by getting your admin cert. But unfortunately, those days are long gone. Too much is changing and Salesforce is maturing as an ecosystem. But this doesn't mean that this opportunity may not exist in other ecosystems. ServiceNow, for example, looks like it's where Salesforce was 7 years ago, doing nearly $9 billion in revenue. It's aggressively growing in the mid 20% range and could be doing $35 billion in revenue similar to Salesforce in years to come. Other options could be to explore cybersecurity, DevOps, data science, hyperscalers, and RevOps. But it's definitely worth doing your own research, looking at which technologies, companies, and sectors are growing the fastest. In summary, the question, is Salesforce still a good career option for entry levels in 2024, is not a straightforward answer. But if you're after one, my answer would be no. But that's just my opinion. It just comes down to supply and demand, and the amount of entry-level talent vying for jobs outweighs the number available. This might change in the future, but there is no indication of when this might be, whether it's 1, 2 years or more. But this doesn't mean well-paid technology jobs are out of reach. It just requires you to put the work in and do your own research in areas that could be lucrative in the future. Although landing a job in Salesforce back in the day could be considered very easy, this is the exception, not the rule. When you eventually find yourself working for a technology company, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Technology jobs are highly paid, but they can also be full of pressure, require you to do comprehensive research, use Google to find your own answers, and think critically about which solution you are presenting to your employer or a client. The challenge of finding that initial technology role is going to require overcoming many hurdles and obtaining many skills that you might find yourself using in an actual job. So although it's tough out there, just think of it as preparation for when you land that dream role in technology.